Dying Light 2 is going to be one very content-heavy game, with there being multiple different ways to take on any situation. And as you can probably tell, it's going to be a gore fest. Today we're taking a deep dive into parkour, combat, and the enemies thrown our way throughout. Everything from this monster to this tank of a man. We'll have many ways of wiping them all out. Declan and this time around have doubled the parkour moves, making the experience when compared to the first game even more hype, and I didn't think that was possible. You want to pull enemies in your direction like you're a scorpion? Boom. You want to launch your enemies to your death with the impact of a spear? Boom. You want to take the stealth route and silently take your enemies out like an assassin? Well, boom. A lot of these new features playing out in one whole scenario looks badass. You already know I'm going to be launching suckers, it's a done deal. You can surely combine a lot of these combat techniques into your own way of playing if you wanted. Of course, there are going to be scripted sequences when you're forced to fight a certain type of way, but for the most part I think we should be able to approach any situation in any way we please, especially in traversal. The beautifully disgusting world of Dying Light 2 has a lot of personality, giving you many options to maneuver around its inner playground. We can glide and sail the world beyond, as well as Spider-Man our way through the city heights. Every bit of movement, whether it goes from gameplay to a cutscene or to an animation, it looks fantastic. Imagine if your multiplayer companions look this realistic and badass in game, suiting up in whatever outfits the game offers. I'm not sure how my friends are going to look, but the NPCs look pretty perfect. We also have the addition of wall running, which is one of the cut features from the original game, as well as trampolines scattered around. A lot of the world's objects are interactable, such as a crane tipping depending on which end you stand on, or a collapsible walkway. Like I said, you can be an assassin and stealth your way throughout. We can pull enemies off a building, or take them down from behind, or even from above. The decision is ours to make. This trailer was quite the gore fest, with there being a minute where a limb was coming off every second. It was intense. I thought it was pretty great though, seeing the bandit's leg get cut clean off and seeing him wobble to stay balanced. It's a nice attention to detail. We also got a head stomp finisher that's just straight fucking brutal. We can jump on and over people and kick them to their death, and even whatever you want to call this. The game is packed with thousands of animations that all stand out, outdoing Mirror's Edge in any parkour game of its type. But of course, that ain't all. We have the return of throwing knives and Molotovs. Looking at the new fire effects, you really see the improvement when comparing to the original. Here we can see another example of the cool effect with someone shooting the flame at Aiden. At first I thought it was a flamethrower, but looking closely it's actually coming from the person's mouth as they lean forward. Of course you'd probably think it's a different infected type, but I personally have a hard time thinking so. I know, kinda weird. Fire-breathing human sounds like it's something coming from a Kojima game, but look, the clothes remain fully intact on the person with no signs of damage. So, is Dying Light 2 introducing superhumans? Probably not, but it does make me kind of a little confused how an infected can go this long without their clothes burning up, especially since they're blowing fire everywhere all the time, I assume. Let me know what you think of this, but moving on, let's take a look at the new weapons. Everything has that dystopian metal look to it with cloth wrapped around to get a tighter grip. We'll also have to take on a lot of two-handed heavy weapons with some of them shown here. We have this renegade member here holding a crowbar with a sharp blade sealed onto it, which looks pretty menacing as well. Some of these guys are holding normal axes and some are carrying makeshift weapons only a blacksmith could create. The variety really stands out and leaves me impressed, knowing there's so much more we still haven't seen. We also see the return of the crossbow and bow, seeing the far distance it can shoot. We already know there's going to be many different human enemies to take on during our journey, some of them clearly being more of a challenge than others. We have our armored beasts with two-handed heavy weapons that throw a heavy hit and move at a slow pace. These guys are mainly in the renegade faction from what we've seen. We have the normal bandits we're used to, a lot of them holding one-handed weapons. These guys are in about every faction as they are just about as normal as they can get, when it comes to the combat at least. There's a lot of crazy things we'll be going up against, so these guys are kind of the littlest of my worries. These guys can be armed with bows and the piped gun we've seen as well, and I assume the makeshift shotgun too. One of the biggest differences in combat from the first game is the move thrust that happens when you want to dodge an enemy's attack. This time around, it's a lot more realistic, making you not instantly fly back like you would in the first game. I'm really glad how smooth and diverse the combat looks, leaving open many opportunities to pull off some sweet combos. And for right now, that's all we have to talk about when it comes to the weapons, enemies, and parkour. Oh, yeah, Declan, don't think I wouldn't have seen the missing head during that one frame. Come on. But anyways, everything we've seen has really left a positive impression on me, and I hope it did for you too. If you want, feel free to let me know your thoughts down below about the new combat in Dying Light 2, even though we all know clearly it's a huge step forward from the first game. Anyways, that's gonna be all for now. Like the video and subscribe if you want, and stop by next time.